on any of those microphones and I turn this down or I push this up, it's going to get louder if I push it up, and they're going to turn off if I push them down. Under the next one, same thing. You notice that the lights that match the colors light up when I press that button. Same thing with the red one, which is the guitar, then the drums, keyboard, and then ultimately this is the computer channel which plays your music back. So let's go over what these are. Inside of here, this is our mix group for the vocals. It's our mix group for the keyboard, mix group for the guitar, mix group for the drums, mix group for the pastor's mic, and the music coming off the computers. So these are all your mix groups. So you could theoretically set everything on the left-hand side of the board and run the service from right here once everything's set up.
Question.
The final one right here is going to be your master group, which is actually going to control the overall output level of the console. That's everything. And we'll answer all the questions in just a minute. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be dealing with is this whole side over here and what you may or may not want to use out of this. So from here, this would be if you wanted to use your headphones. When you click the view button, this will let you see what you want to hear. And right now, if you press the solo button on any channel, it's going to feed it to the headphones, which are actually on the side of the console. You plug your headphones in right here in the little hand pocket. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one on either side. So you can actually run two sets of headphones. But that's where you see what the headphones are actually going to be set to. Right now they're set to the left and right output of the board, which is just what you're hearing in the speakers is what comes through here. However, if I were to press the solo button on any of the channels, like this button right here, I would only hear that particular channel. So if I wanted to hear the mic that I'm talking on, I'd go to channel 5, press the solo button. If I had a pair of headphones on, I would now hear myself talking in the mic. And this level right here would adjust how loud I hear myself in the headphones. So that's what the headphones do. This is a talkback mic. Now this is kind of cool. You can take a microphone and plug it in right here. And when you press view, this is what it's going to send it to. You would hear it out of mix bus 1, which would be the stage monitor. And if I come over here, whoops, wrong direction here. Should be moving up and down. Shake it all around. Wave your hands in the air. Well, from where I am, I should be able to move over here to select the left and right, but for whatever reason, it's jumping across. Oh, there we go. All right, so it's this particular one right here. So you turn that knob, scroll over to the left and right, and now if I plug a mic in right here, which would be my talkback mic B, and I press this button, it's actually you're gonna hear it in the house. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did there. I'm gonna come over to left, right, select it, and I'm also gonna have it in the floor wedge. So the way we have it right now, if you press this button, it's going to come in the house system and on the monitor. Now, here's a cool feature. Let's say, for instance, you don't have a microphone plugged in. If you push this button and you start talking right now, it's actually going to come through the house system. So if you wanted to talk to the pastor while he's up there preaching, you could really unnerve him by pressing that button and starting to talk, because there's a built-in mic in this board and he would hear you in the floor wedge up there. So now this could be an advantage. This would be an example. So let's turn this off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn where we've got the headphones selected right there. I'm actually going to unlatch that. And the only one of these that I'm going to have on right now would be the stage wedge. Now, what's the advantage of that? Let's just say he's standing up there preaching and his pants are unzipped. I can say, your pants are unzipped. And he would only hear it in his floor wedge. The audience wouldn't hear it, but he would hear it in the floor wedge. And so that's how you can talk to somebody on stage without them knowing what's going on. You know, turn your mic on. A lot of interesting things like that. Just be able to let them know what's going on. And there is a level here. This gives you the ability to turn the microphone volume up or down on the talk level right here. And it's the same thing right here as well. This is another volume level. Okay, so that covers this group. Now, this is really important. This is the scenes. So we'll click view to see what we're looking at. And you'll notice that it has home, scenes, snippets, all these little features right here. What we're going to go over to is scenes. These are the things that we've saved on the board already. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to go through and I'm going to save it on top of one that I've already done. So I'm going to go down through here and I'll scroll to get to the one for Nick. I'm going to hit save. Whoops. Let's escape. Let's get out of there. Cancel. So I turned the knob right as I did it. So I click save. Comes up with the scene name. If you want to change the scene name, you can do it by coming over here, selecting the letters and pushing the button in. Every time you put the button, push the button down. It's a long day. You push the button down, it'll actually add those letters to there. And when you're totally cool with the way you did it, press the save button. In this instance, I didn't change the name. It's going to ask me, do I want to override it? This is my yes button right here. And so the settings that are on the board right now have now been saved to that. Super important. You come back tomorrow and you say, I want to reload that. Go back to the same thing. You click the view button so you're looking at it. You go over to the scenes. From here, you click over one, goes to scenes. Use your up and down arrows here. You scroll to the one you saved, and now you're going to load it. And you're going to say yes. And it's going to load the features just like we are right now. Came back exactly the same way. Mic is still high. You exit that, and now you're able to have saved a scene on the board. Now that's interesting if you have like a visiting band. Another band's going to come in and you're going to repatch the board, but then Sunday night's coming around and you're like, oh no, I got all this stuff all mixed up. You just go back in there, recall the setting from Sunday morning, press enter, boom, the board zips back exactly like it was before. No worries and issues. Alrighty, now the next group of buttons, this down here. You'll notice if you look in the display window, these are actually controls that affect the reverb. So I'll give you an example. I'm going to go over to my channel on my mic again, which I think I'm on 5. Is that right? Yep, so I'm on channel 5. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn the reverb on, turn the delay on so you can hear it. Now, you'll notice that these lights are flashing. In essence, the way you want to use this is you tap to the rhythm of the music. So it's like bum, 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 bum. Now this is tapping in rhythm to the music. So it's going to follow the tempo of the music just as you're tapping into the tempo of the rhythm. Same thing is true over here. This gives you the ability to set different parameters if you want. Now you can look at what you're doing here by clicking on the view button. And now it's going to show you the same thing that we were looking at before. It's showing you what these are. And you'll notice as I'm pressing the buttons, you'll see that the time is changing on those particular ones. And the same thing is true over here. You can see what I'm doing. I'm actually muting the effect here, or muting the effect there. If I want to change the delay, I could take the knob here and turn it above it, and you'll notice that it's changing that particular parameter. So these are just extensions. He could preach 2 times in one Sunday morning and only have to say it once. Okay, so that gets that. So I'll go back over here and I'll dial these back down so that I don't have to hear that. Still a little something hung in the system. Okay, so now the system is cleared out. So that's the effects if you wanted to do that. This gives you the ability A, B, C, and D that you can load different effects in. If I wanted to, I could load, and you'll see the parameters change as I press different buttons down here. It's allowing these to change to different effect settings so that I can adjust the parameters of the reverb unit without having to go up to here or go over to effects to actually see it. Okay, and we still got all that to discuss, but we're going to go over the mute groups right now. This is an important thing in that what it enables you to do is mute everything on the board just by that one way that I have that set up right now. Number 2 does the same thing. That's the way I have it set. I think I had, yep, 1 and 2 are both set to mute everything. Traditionally what I would do is I set 1 to mute everything other than the pastor's mic, And number 2, I generally set to the reverb unit. So if I'm singing and I'm done singing and I now want to talk, I don't want to hear myself echoing back, so I would set it that way. So how you do that is you go to mute group, you select it while you are holding your buttons here. It takes 2 hands to do it. So I'm going to hold the button, I'm going to press the mute group, and you notice what happens, all the buttons lit up over there. So while I have, get that off, while I have this up, you'll notice how everything turned green. So what I'm going to do for the sake of example is I'm going to take some of these off just so you can see mute group 2 is now going to be those. Okay, so when I press them, notice how, whoops, different ones are lit from the other ones. All right, so let's go. Okay, so I now have those are unlit. So now let's take the mutes off. Mutes everything there. Mutes everything but those 4 that time, because I took them off by selecting them here, which ones I wanted on and which ones I wanted off. So what I think I'm going to do, in order to do, I want to be able to give you the ability to keep the pastor's mic on and maybe the music. So the way I'm doing it, I'm going to hold the mute group button down, press the button here. Now it shows me which ones are. So I'm going to mute all of these other than the pastor's mic, which is which one? The very first one. All right, so I'm going to unmute it, and we'll leave it muted there because you just selected at the top. And then we'll go down here. Doesn't he have a headset mic buried in here somewhere? And I'm gonna take these 2 channels right here, which are the music, and let's find his headset mic. You know where it is? Okay. All right, and so we'll select this one. All right. So now press mute group off again. So if I press 1, everything is muted. If I unmute it and I press this one, pastor's mic is unmuted, the pastor's mic is unmuted, and the music is unmuted.
Gotcha.
And so that takes care of the mute grouping. Now this is where the action happens up here. You notice I was touching a lot of stuff on the screen. I'm going to press the home button as the top one. The home button works in conjunction with whatever channel you have pressed. If I go back to 1 and I have my channel 5 pressed, what I'm seeing right now is everything that has to do with the channel that I'm on. Okay, if I press the meters button, it's showing me the entire board. It's showing me the ones with the red are the ones that have gates on them. This one down here has compression on it. You can see it actually working. And these are the volume levels of the board. If you look across the board, they're set exactly like that. Okay? The routing is something that the professionals do. Don't play in the routing zone. This has to do with all the digital snakes, the outputs on the board. It's a lot of technical stuff that if you have a problem with that, your best odds is to call me, because that can get mixed up and be really difficult to fix. Okay, from within the setup, you'll notice we have all of these things across the top. The only ones that you guys should really ever find yourself having to use is what's called the scribble strip. And that is if you want to change the name or the picture that's on the little display. You scroll over, click setup, scroll over to scribble strip. You can pick a different picture and you can type a different name. You can select it from the list. Or if you want to type your own unique name, what you can do is you go to the channel. While you're holding it down, you press the utility button. Now I can actually type in the name the way I want it. So if you do it from the setup menu, you select from the list and select from the pictures. But if you want to type your own, you hold it and press utility, and now I can type my own. Okay, the library is the next one. The library is a group of effects. This enables us to assign things to that channel as an insert. My recommendation is don't use it. It's really not necessary. It's kind of a it's a little more advanced thing that you guys probably won't use. So I just wouldn't mess with it. If you determine that you want to add some of these effects just to play around with it, just make sure you turn it off after you're done. And you do that by selecting one over here. You choose what you want here from scrolling up and down. And it's going to insert that. So like this very first one says big concert. The next one said vocal plate. If I press the vocal plate, what that's going to do is it's going to insert that vocal plate reverb on this microphone all the time. So I don't have the ability to turn it on and off without coming back into this channel. And that's not what you want to do. So we'll leave that alone. The effects is what we were talking about before. They're built into the board. You have the option to be able to turn on all of these features. that are in here, insert them in a channel. I've already got all that programmed. It's not something that you guys have to really work with. The mute group, again, like we said before, what it does is it gives you the ability